And we're live.
And we're live, trying to figure it out. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Check Down Podcast. I am Shirtless Pat, and much like Matt Ryan, my shirt is benched and not playing again the rest of the season. Speaking of Matt Ryan, with me today, I have Greg. I was there to watch the Chiefs lose, Gormley, against the Colts. So that was a big shocker. As you can see, we only have two of us today. So anybody that is watching at home, feel free to put some stuff in the chat, give us some things to talk about, and see where things are going. It'd really help us out. If you haven't yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and everything else. We already have an egg in the comments. Bob, thank you so much for tuning in, dude. But Izzy's not here today, so he's not going to get all butthurt about it. But Greg will still be here to tell him all about the egg that he's
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen eventually. He's gonna smash the egg. It may take, another 2, 3, 4 weeks, but it'll happen. Don't you worry.
How many touchdowns does Pickett have, though? That's the question. Is he close?
I mean, it's all about Trubisky. I think it was just Trubisky 22 touchdowns or more, and every game that Trubisky doesn't play makes it less likely for him to reach that touchdown total. So that's all I care about.
So it looks like it's coming. He should just do it already. So a couple things. I don't know if Jesse's on or not. It doesn't look like it. But Jesse last time asked us what beers certain players would be. I wanted us to come up with something. So I got a couple. So the first one, Aaron Rodgers, is a Goes. Why? Because he's fucking salty all the goddamn time. So Goes beers are made with salt. That's what makes them sour. They're sour when salty. He's definitely that. Russell Wilson is a West Coast IPA. Why is Russell Wilson a West Coast IPA? Because those used to be loved, and now they're no longer loved. And people are very upset that they're bitter all the time. So Russ Wilson, West Coast IPA, no longer loved because now everything's for the hot bombs that we have of the New Englands. So what's up, Buki? Good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in, dude. There's only two of us today, so feel free to be really active during the show. But we're going to go ahead and break the huddle and get in the first down. So, guys, what are some hot topics from this week that you want us to discuss or bring up? Make sure you drop them in the comments. The first thing that we're going to bring up is an argument we're kind of have. Greg, I know you think the Giants are pretty good. Are they better than the Eagles?
Oh, yeah, baby. You know why? Because the Giants, every single game they have been in so far has been a one-score game. And you know what? They're 6-1. They've won 6 out of 7 of those games. The big thing is they know how to win the close games. They keep it close to the very end. They play competitive. Defensively, they're sound. And if you have a slight lead going into that fourth quarter, you have one of the best, if not the best running back in the NFL with Saquon Barkley. You can efficiently run the ball with them, chew up that clock, and, you got to know how to finish. And if you know how to finish, you'll be in really good shape.
What up, Rasta? Thanks for tuning in. Got some good stuff, so make sure you get in the comments. We got here, Buki wants us to touch the Bucks and Ravens tomorrow night, so we'll do that here in 1 second, my man. But I want to get back on this Giants-Eagles conversation. The Giants can win the close game. That says a lot. But let's take a look at their games. Let me see if I can bring it up here. No, that's not it. Let's try this. We're learning all the technology stuff, everybody.
Oh, I love it. We have the visuals.
So here we go. So the first game of the season, they played the Titans. They won by 1 point. And you know what? The Titans missed a field goal at the end of the game, and the Titans suck week 1. All right. Then they beat the Panthers, who are not very good, with Baker Mayfield by 3 points. Then they lost to the Cowboys. And now they only lost by a touchdown. Then they beat the Bears by 8. And then they beat the Packers.
Then big win in London.
Then they beat the Giants. Then they beat the Ravens, and they beat the Jags. So they've won a lot of close games, which is great. But you know who hasn't been winning close games? The Eagles. The Eagles have been winning games by a lot. Okay, they've been going out there and they've been playing good teams. Now, I initially thought the Eagles had a weaker schedule than the Giants. The Giants teams have a combined 18 wins. The Eagles wins are 19. So they're even playing better opponents. They're winning by a larger margin. Therefore, the Eagles are good. And the Eagles just got Robert Quinn. So
that was a big move today. Yeah,
that was a huge move. What do we got over here? We have Rasta that says Pat and Greg show. Sorry, Cody. Just kidding, man. Cody did say he might get a chance to get on around 9-ish or 8:45. He's too busy. So he said he'll get there eventually.
Yeah, he's got a family event or something, or family dinner. So we'll respect that. We'll give him a pass this time.
At least he said he wasn't getting on. We haven't heard from Chris, and this is technically his podcast. We haven't heard from him in a week and a half. Chris says, my running backs are Brobe and Melvin Gordon. Should I trade McLaurin or Lockett for Miles Sanders?
Ooh, I'd be
Ooh.
intrigued with giving up Lockett for Miles Sanders. Lockett has come off that injury recently. He hasn't been super productive. Running backs are typically, more valuable. Melvin Gordon, I can't trust Melvin Gordon at all. But
I haven't seen. Is he going to be taking a backseat to Latavius Murray this coming week?
I think for
So
now,
if
I
you're
think they're just still getting like, half and half, and they have their own role.
See, I'm thinking if those are your running backs, I would definitely try to get Miles Sanders. Do you have a trade offer out there, or are you just wondering if you can get McLaurin or Lockett for Sanders? So go ahead and put that in there. I think Lockett or McLaurin for Miles Sanders might be the way to go. The Eagles do like to run the football, and McLaurin and Taylor Heineke do have a good connection, but he's going to be the one throwing him the ball, especially this coming week. And Lockett's going to be seeing more double coverage now with DK Metcalf out with a knee injury. So now's the push to try to make the playoffs. If you can get Miles Sanders, I think that's a good play there.
I love Lockett for Sanders. I'd take that in a heartbeat. I'd be reluctant to give up on Scary Terry because I think he's just overall, a better receiver, and he has a decent amount of volume. But yeah, if you can obtain Sanders, I think that would be a good move because he might, end up starting over Melvin Gordon, or probably will.
Okay. So there you go, Chris. Hopefully that helped you out a little bit. Cody is, when he gets back on, we'll have him field the question too. He plays a lot of fantasy football. We have Tyler. What's up, Tyler? Rodgers being a double-digit underdog at Bills Sunday night. Yeah, that we were just talking about that before we got on there. That's actually hilarious. Rodgers has been just fucking salty this year. And honestly, their teams, I don't even know if their team's good enough to be within 14 points of the Bills. I think they're going to get embarrassed. I think they're going to get blown out, and I think it's going to be by a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be pretty ugly. The Bills have just been rolling lately. The Packers have shown no signs of life. I mean, you lose the Giants, then you lose to the Jets at home, and then you lose to the Commanders on the road. Like, that's absolutely embarrassing. The Bills are probably right now the best team in the NFL, and you're going to go into Buffalo, a very hostile atmosphere. There's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of tables broken. Ooh, it's going to be. I mean, Aaron Rodgers can prove that, he's an awesome quarterback when he comes out and has an amazing performance and gets the W, but it's not looking pretty.
All right. So, Chris, I'm going to bring something up for you here. Now that we're figuring out that we can have all this fun information. So there is on Reddit, you can get these adjusted value trade charts, and you can pick what your league is. So let's say you're 1 PPR, 4 passing touchdown, and it'll bring up a value chart, and if it'll load, and you're able to evaluate the players that are on these tiers. So you can look up Miles Sanders, and you can look up Terry McLaurin, and you can look up Tyler Lockett. So as you can see, Tyler Lockett's like 21 and Terry McLaurin's a 23. So the better player, according to the trading chart, would be Terry McLaurin. So if you can get rid of Lockett, that'd probably be the way to go. So that's a fun, helpful tool. If you guys have never used it, you can check into that. What else we got here?
Pretty cool.
Buki wanted to say Bucks versus Ravens tomorrow night. We can review that game real quick. So I'm gonna have a different take on this. The line Greg was telling me that is pretty close. You said it was like what, -1?
I think the Bucks are up to -1 now, but it's like been fluctuating back and forth. So
Tom Brady is 10-1 on Thursday night football games. And I think the one he lost was to open the year against the Chiefs a few years ago. So they don't look great. The Bucks don't look great. But Tom Brady on a short week, I kind of like him, but I don't think the Bucks team have it together. What do you think, Greg?
I mean, the biggest thing I notice is Tom Brady is one of the best quarterbacks ever at like finishing games. And right now the Ravens are literally doing the exact opposite of that with their blown game against the Giants. Like they're a run heavy team, but they can't seem to put away teams, even though they're up like 2 scores, and just run the ball effectively. Yeah, I think it's a coin flip in general, but if I had to pick, I would take the Bucks just because they're home and just Tom Brady's typical killer instinct. I mean, they have a lot of injuries on the defensive end. A few more came out today, but I don't know.
Godwin's there. Evans is there. I think the one thing that it worries me about the Buccaneers is they can't run the football. They're averaging 64 yards per game. If the season ended today, that would be the worst in NFL history. That Tom Brady's always been successful with a good running game and a good defense. Even when he was throwing for 5,000 yards, he's always been needing help with a good running game, and they're not able to run the football. If they can somehow figure it out, they might be okay. That's going to be a good one. So, Chris, I don't know if you saw it, but I'll bring it up just in case. Rasta did say he thinks Miles is a good guy to target. Some risk there, of course, but he would be the best of the three you have. So I would agree with that. So I'm going to bring up something here next to show you guys that I think is pretty hilarious. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not. Corey Littleton, if this was last week when they played the Rams, he was out here and he was mocking Allen Robinson during the play. So, Greg, do you believe this should have been a penalty?
Nah, I mean, it sounded like, or from what we saw, that it was more just like kind of a playful banter back and forth. They were both being extremely dramatic in the situation. I think it was just more so kidding, joking around, and even the ref was kind of looking at both like, "What the hell are you guys doing? Like, stop it!"
So when I initially watched it, I thought it was fucking hilarious. My wife's a Rams fan, and she was in the other room, and I had to pause it, rewind, and make her come back in and watch it. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, how is that not unsportsmanlike conduct? You have a player sack the quarterback. He kicks up. He does his karate kick towards the Steelers sideline. Unsportsmanlike conduct. You have a guy yell to the skies, he's super fucking hyped. That's unsportsmanlike conduct. How are you mocking the other team and it not unsportsmanlike? So I think it was funny and hilarious, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just I'm wondering if they're going to see that more and more and if there's going to be some sort of rule change. We got another comment here. Rasta says, I'm sure most would trade McLaurin for him of the two, but I like Terry upside with Heineke, but Wentz will be back, so I would agree to do Terry for mine.
Pretty sure Heineke and McLaurin had a pretty good connection. I don't know, was it last year or something, or maybe 2 years ago? I think they kind of clicked, and there was a consistent back and forth there. So I actually think it could be better than what Wentz has offered so far.
Yeah, but I think Wentz's injury is I think he's coming back here soon. So,
like a 2 to 4 week thing, or
yeah, he's probably going to be back. So that might be the move in the long run.
Right, or you could see it where Heineke just takes over. You win a couple games, you get hot, and Wentz could just ride the bench. You never know.
If Wentz gets benched, that means the Colts spent a first round, second round, third round, and $70 million on two players to not make it through 2 whole seasons. Because that's what happened. And that is just
what a franchise. Hilarious. Especially as a Titans fan for you.
I know. I love it. Let's see. Brian says, any advice on dealing with teams not budging on any deals? I'm a first-year fantasy player, 10-team league, but it's like nobody wants to make a deal. So that depends on – oh, here we go. He posted another comment. The only trade transaction was me dealing Waller for Henderson Jr. Now I'm trying to flip Henderson for a better receiver. Everybody is a scumbag in this league. Okay. So you were trying to get Waller for Henderson, and now you're trying to get a better wide receiver for Henderson. Henderson does have some upside, and some people might be willing to move on that just because of Cam Akers no longer being there. But I think it would really depend on who you're targeting because Henderson's probably a lower end running back too. So that would just depend.
The biggest thing is you have to, first thing is don't offer like garbage trades. I'm not saying the trades you offer are garbage because that's going to turn off a lot of the other teams in the league for making, trades with you in the future, but you got to target teams for their needs. Like you really need to look at and find a team that is really RB needy. And there should be at least, a couple of those because there's always running back injuries, and target the team that needs that running back, and then maybe throw in a little bit of extra juice for something that you can afford with your depth in order to, get that position you need.
And Ross says that happens in a 10-person league because there's many players on the waiver that most managers won't need to trade. So yeah, if you were effective in the wire and the waiver wire, which if this is your first year, so you might not have been too effective in the waiver, that's going to happen. So Ross, you do have a good point there. I got Shrek posted 2 comments. So I want to make sure we get to them. Should I start Dameon Pierce or Kenneth Walker? So
who are they playing?
Dameon Pierce is playing the Titans. The Titans have held the Colts to 2 yards per carry, and the Titans almost always have the running backs for the Texans locked down. That's just historically from me being a Titan fan. So if I was picking one or the other, I would go with the Seahawks because I forget who they're playing.
The Giants.
They're playing the Giants. The Giants have a decent defense, but I would say the matchup I would favor towards Kenneth Walker. But Dameon Pierce is a beast. I have him in a league, and I'm going to be starting him. But I think the way Kenneth Walker's played the last 2 weeks, that's who I would go with. Greg, who are you going with?
I'd probably lean Kenneth Walker in that one. I mean, this is just a good problem to have. Like, Dameon Pierce has had an incredible season so far. Kenneth Walker's really stepped into that lead role as the Seahawks running back. Can't go wrong with this one. I assume the Giants game is going to be, pretty close with the Seahawks. That's only a 3-point line. So I'd probably lean in the direction of Kenneth Walker.
Got another question here. You think James Robinson could take over the Jets running back 1 spot and be a 15-plus point player I'm guessing per week? So when I heard that they made that trade, I'm a huge James Robinson fan. I don't know why. I just am. I think he's got a lot of talent. I don't know if he's going to be 15 points per game good because he's going to be splitting carries for Michael Carter, but I think he's going to be getting a little bit more love in New York than he was in Jacksonville. They gave him a lot of love early in the year, then they stopped giving him carries when ETN really started turning it on. So he's going to be a good player. I don't know if he's going to be 15 points per week player, though. Greg?
Yeah, it's always tough when you have running backs splitting the amount of carries. I don't know if they're going to have, James Robinson do first and second down, Carter third down, receptions. And it really depends how they split it. I would not start James Robinson the first week, maybe 2, unless you have to, just because you want to see how the backfield plays out. So if you have any other better options, just roll with them and just be patient with this.
All right. So, guys, if you're watching at home, one thing that we're going to be doing now is something called hold and folds, where I say a bold statement, and then Greg's going to say whether or not he thinks he's going to hold it, which means he accepts, agrees, or he's going to fold it and get rid of it. So this one is actually for everybody that's watching at home. Make sure you post a comment because I'm curious what you guys think. So this is the first bold statement I'm going to make, and this is for everybody else. Guys, the audience, do you think the Patriots should trade for Tom Brady? So go ahead and put that, and I'll tell you why. The Buccaneers aren't doing too great. Right now, it seems like there's a lot of quarterback trouble in New England. And you know what Tom Brady needs right now? He needs familiarity. He needs a family. He needs love. He's going through a tough divorce. And you know who will do that for him? The Patriots and Bill Belichick. I think this just makes a lot of sense. Give Mac Jones to the Buccaneers. They're rebuilding anyway. Bring Tom back. Let him make a decent run with a team that's okay. They're going to be playing for a wild card because they're probably not going to win the East. I think it should go. So hold or fold, audience. Go ahead and put it in there, and we'll see what they got. Brian says, absolutely not. Brady and arguably Rodgers have been on a severe decline. I mean, we're going to talk about the Bucs and Brady here in a second. Rodgers, I think, hasn't looked his normal self, but he is also playing with C-type players. So that's a tough one to call there. Rasta made a comment. I think this is just going back towards Brian. Okay, yeah, family league, unless why everyone is super into it as much. Yeah, so that was towards Brian. Oh, Buki says yes, we should have Tom Brady traded back to the Patriots. I honestly don't hate it. I think it's a good move for both teams. So, Greg, I got your hold and fold for you. Geno Smith is in the lead for comeback player of the year.
Oh, 100%. It's been really cool to see his resurgence. I remember watching him in West Virginia and how high powered that offense was and how he was, such a high pick. And then he just got put in a dog shit situation with the Jets and their inability to develop quarterbacks. He basically played as a journeyman, backup quarterback for so many different teams, and finally has his chance. He had a QB competition in Seattle. Drew Lock beat him out, and now he's really stepped into that role as a quarterback 1. It looks like he's starting to develop relationships with his receivers, and he's looking fine. I'll say he's looking fine.
He's looking pretty good.
Love
Cody says, "What a terrible show." Hey, Cody, maybe if you weren't too busy jerking off, you'd be able to get on and actually contribute to the team. And we got Buki here that says, not 100% sure about the Pats defense, though. They didn't look
Second
great.
that.
Yeah, they didn't look great last game. But it is Bill Belichick. I think he's a good defensive mind. He could come around with it. All right. So, and then we got another couple comments there, but that is for the thing. So
Cody's going to have to get on here and defend his Packers in a little bit. You know how they're 11-point dogs. That'll be entertaining to see.
So bad. So last hold or fold. Actually, I got two more. We're going to make this one quick, though, because I think this one's comedic. Jared Goff will end the year with more MVP votes than Aaron Rodgers. The Lions offense did not look good the last week, but early in the year,
2 weeks.
Yeah, but Jameson Williams is coming. All right. Amon St. Brown's going to be healthy. DeAndre Swift is coming back. Do we think
a report just came out saying Jameson Williams is still at least a month away, so that's another 4 games, and they're going to limit his snaps. But
so we're folding. Jared Goff will not have more MVP votes than Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, I think both are going to finish with 0 total, but I think it could be a tie. Yeah, that's not looking too good for either of them to even get a vote at this point.
It's tough. I don't know. I actually wrote this comment a few weeks ago, and then I just never got a chance to bring it up in hold and folds. But I thought that was funny. And then my last hold or fold, and then I'm going to go to Brian's comment here. Greg, do you think the 49ers are now favorites to win the NFC West with Christian McCaffrey, or even are they favorites to win the NFC now that they have Christian McCaffrey? And I know as a Chiefs fan, you're loving the blowout last week, but your teams aren't always as bad as they look on their worst day.
I mean, that was a pretty piss poor performance by the 49ers defense right now. They pretty much had everyone back healthy at that point. They got Bosa back, and they were supposed to be I don't know, the number 1 defense or something, but they just did not look good. McCaffrey is going to help that offense significantly because you're going to be able to do so much with him and Debo and Ayuk. They're going to mix it up, keep defenses guessing, and, just McCaffrey's versatility. I think you could put them as the favorite to win the division right now, but Eagles are still probably the favorite to come out of the NFC. I think the Bucs potentially are still ahead of the 49ers. He's going to make the team better, but I don't think it puts them over the top to be the favorite to come out of the NFC.
See, you said that the Eagles are the favorites to come out of the NFC, but you said the Giants were better, Greg. Come on. All right, we got Brian here saying,
sometimes the better team loses.
Brian says, going back to the Brady situation, he just looks so off this whole season. Believe it or not, he was my first pick at QB. Jalen Hurts was my throwaway pick and has been outperforming Brady. So let's just take a look at this beautiful pass by Tom Brady, and let's see if we can still blame Brady. I got it up here.
Ooh.
All right, Brian.
Why you gotta throw Mike Evans under the bus like this?
Yep. So let's see if Brady's at fault here. He drops back, throws it wide open. Oh, dime! Out.
The ref got in the way.
Yeah, that's what it was. So, yeah, Brady has been a little off, and I think the divorce is playing a factor into that. But there has been just drop balls. There's been miscommunications from their wide receivers all year that I think plays a huge factor too.
Offensive line too. The offensive line has not been blocking particularly well, and I think that has a direct, correlation to their inability to run the ball as well. I also think they need to involve Rachaad White more in that offense because right now, Lenny's getting up there. Two-headed monster. You got to make it work.
I think Rachaad White though only is averaging 2.5 yards a carry when he is out there. Now maybe more touches he could get rolling like Derrick Henry does.
Yeah, passing game or something.
Possible, but I mean Leonard Fournette's averaging 3.3. Brian says that defense cost me a win this week. He said, I understand it's Mahomes, but they were torn apart. I actually dropped Brady for the Titans special team. So it's not a terrible plan. I'm thinking that's the 49ers because Mahomes ripped them apart. Yeah. The 49ers did have the number 1 defense in the league, so they just had a bad game. All right, so we're going to roll into our second down. That was some great conversation. Thanks for everybody that was throwing out some information, helping our section go through. On this next one, we're going to talk winners and losers of the week. So some of you already been posting that, but if not, go ahead and keep putting them in there. I'm going to go ahead and start it out with my winner. My winner for this week was DeAndre Hopkins. He came back. He had 10 catches. He had 120 yards or something like that. After missing weeks for PEDs and not getting to practice and play, he came out and he still looked really good. So he was my winner this week. Cody's winner was rookie running backs, so he's not on, but I'll say it. rookie running backs. They have all looked good. Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, they're killing it. So, Greg, who's your winner?
Oh, RIP Brees Hall right there. That was really unfortunate to see him go down with that big injury. But my big winner is the Jets. I mean, aside from losing Brees Hall and Elijah Vera Tucker this week, they've been, playing pretty consistent football. They went into Denver, even though Denver sucks and they were playing with a backup quarterback, they did what they needed to do to win the game. And I picked the Jets to finish last in that division this year, and they just I didn't expect them to get more than maybe 4 or 5 wins, and they already have 5 wins through 7 weeks. So the Jets have been impressive so far, even with all their injuries. Hopefully, they can sustain it. Even if they finish with only 8 wins or 9 wins, I still think that's a great season for them.
On our post-draft podcast, I said I thought the Jets might have won the draft. I love Sauce Gardner. I love what they did as far as picks. And they're all playing really well, and they're all looking really good. So Jets are a big surprise. I didn't think they'd have 5 wins at this point in the season, though. I thought they would be okay, but I didn't think they'd have 5 wins in 7 weeks. Greg, why don't you just go ahead and roll into your busts?
Yeah, speaking of busts, I feel like we spent a lot of time talking about Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. The Bucs are they look awful right now. Their offensive line looks horrible. Receivers are dropping passes. Their inability to run the ball. Tom Brady's out there yelling at his own guys. Defensively, they're supposed to have one of the top-rated defenses, and they come out and just get shellacked by the Panthers and give up over 20 points to them. And they were 13-point favorites in that game. The Bucs, you have to assume they're going to get it together, but they need to mix it up and do something different because whatever they're doing right now is not working. And a lot of fingers are being pointed at Byron Leftwich right now, actually, and some of his play calling because it just seems very stagnant and predictable at this point. But yeah, Bucs, they've been my bust so far.
They have not looked good. And I think a lot of the problem is a lot of people are complaining. They're like, well, why is Leftwich being called out and not the wide receivers or Tom Brady? Because everybody is healthy. And I think a lot of the problem is they're just vanilla out there. They had 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and they couldn't convert, and they didn't try anything anything crazy the rest of the game on short yardage, and they were just running straight dives. And I get it. You have Leonard
Power
Fournette
toss to the right. It's that's so predictable.
Yeah, they did nothing to really get crazy. I think that's the reason he's catching a lot of flack. I think the whole team in general is just not looking great. But I don't put it all on him. I definitely think the offense needs to get cooking. My bust is going to be veteran quarterbacks. So we already talked about Tom Brady not going to be that dead horse. Matt Ryan getting benched. The season isn't over. They're acting like they're 1-5-1. Like they have 3 wins. They have a tie. That tie is pretty helpful. That's what got the Steelers into the playoffs last year. So the tie is better than a loss. They have that tie. They have 3 wins. They're not bad, but they pretty much already packed it in. They said, we're tanking. We're going to get CJ Stroud. We're going to get Bryce. We're going to get somebody else. And they're playing for the quarterback of the future. And then Aaron Rodgers, who we already talked about. So I'm not going to keep beating that either. Cody's bust for the week was Kenny Pickett. And I think he's just saying that Pickett's really hasn't looked great. That game against the Dolphins, I don't know what happened. Both quarterbacks in the second half. I mean, the Steelers dropped 4 interceptions on Tua. Pickett threw, 3? It was just a really shitty quarterback game overall in the second half. So we're going to move on to our 3rd down. So everybody listening at home, this is where we really tackle daily fantasy, prize picks, sports betting type of stuff. So if you have any questions or anything you want us to look at, maybe a parlay or things like that, go ahead and put it in the comments and we'll get started. Greg, I actually forgot to do a DFS. So would you like to go first so I can go look at one?
Yeah, it's funny. Usually I do parlays and teasers, and I'm just I'm looking at all the lines this week, and all the lines just absolutely stink. There's so many within 3 points, so many close games. One pick I do like is I like the Bills to steamroll the Packers and win by 15 to 20 plus points. The Bills have been playing at such a high level right now, and it's funny, the line started at 10 and has now already moved up to 11.5. But yeah, I don't really love. I'm looking at the lines right now, and it's just all of them are toss ups, question marks, divisional games, and it's I don't know, maybe just a big underdog week. Parlay all the underdogs or something. I don't know.
It was a tough week, huh? So I'm looking at daily fantasy now and looking at some of the prices. I like to use DraftKings. A lot of people like to use FanDuel. I've had more success on DraftKings myself, but some people say they have more success on FanDuel. Pick whatever one you want. And whether you're going to go with a captain or an MVP for this, I'm liking one of the quarterbacks. So the most expensive is going to be Lamar Jackson. I also think Tom Brady could have a comeback game. We've talked a lot of shit, but it's Thursday night. As I said before, he plays well on Thursday night. So if you're going to enter one of these contests, if you want to win big money, sometimes you have to take a fucking chance. So let's take a fucking chance. Let's go ahead and put Brady as in our captain, and then let's go ahead and stack him with somebody. So we can either stack him with Evans, who's the more expensive pick, or we can stack him with Godwin, who is $2,000 cheaper. Or we could go a little crazy and do Kate Otten, but I don't think you're going to get enough value play there. So I would stack him. What's that?
Who? Kate Otten?
Yeah, this is tight end. He's his number one tight end target. So did you see that they think they should bring back Rob Gronkowski?
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, if they were like flying high at 6-1 or 7-0 right now, I think Gronk would be like, all right, let me sneak back on that opportunistic championship team. But nah, he shouldn't.
So I would stack that. I would go ahead and get Lamar Jackson. If you don't want to spend money on Lamar, go with Mark Andrews if he's going to be healthy, but I would check that. So I want to bring this up. Winners, Brian says, Raheem Mostert. I understand I'm a rookie in the fantasy game, but looking around different channels and live streams wrote the guy off. He seems to have exploded the past 3 weeks. On our mock draft that we did with the fans at the beginning of the season, I said that Raheem Mostert was a player that I would be taking in the last round of my drafts because I think he could really perform well. It took a long time for McDaniel to see what I saw. You have the fastest team in the league. You just put all the speed on the field and see what happens. And it took a while, but they finally got there. So, yeah, a lot of people did write him off. A lot of people said don't take him. But I was not that guy. I personally thought he could have a big game. And we have Brian's loser is Garrett fucking Wilson. Can't believe I had that scrub. Heard his personal antics off the field is even more annoying. Yeah, I picked him up in a waiver, and then I had to end up dropping him myself.
He had that one like 30-point week against the Browns or something, and then just has really done nothing. I mean, he's still young. At least he showed potential. You know, it hasn't been a complete bust. So
that's when I picked him up, was after that, and then he hasn't done anything. I have Drake London after those like 3 first week of the season. I was like, I got somebody. He scored like 2 points the rest of the year. Hasn't helped me out. So let's see. Let's see if there's any good prize picks. Gus Edwards, if he's healthy, he's 45.5 rushing yards. I like the over on that prize picks. You can add that to your parlay. Mark Andrews at 60.5 receiving yards, I think is a good play. I would go over.
He didn't have one catch in his last game, which was unbelievable. Like, I couldn't believe that happens.
And they're going to feed him the ball because of that. When a player isn't getting the love that they're used to getting or they're better than, they normally start feeding them the ball. So I think Andrews is going to have a huge game on a short week Thursday night, as long as he's healthy. You got to look to make sure he's going to play.
The toughest thing they have to recognize is the Bucs linebackers are very athletic, very fast, and very good in coverage. And they're just like what they did against Kelsey. They're going to be trying to match up on Mark Andrews as well, like Shaq Barrett. And yeah, it's going to be, I think it's going to be tough for Andrews to, you know, unless he just gets peppered the ball, it's going to be tough for him to hit that over, I think.
Well, I think Barrett and Devin White are both playing, so it could be really tough. But they don't have Winfield out there in the secondary. Their other safety, I think, was hobbled. I don't know if he's playing or not. So what's going to happen is Lamar's either going to run, and then they're going to have to keep Devin White and Shaq Barrett in to try to stop the run with their athleticism, and then that's what they're going to be able to hit Mark Andrews. Or they're going to cover Mark Andrews, and the safeties are going to have to stop Lamar. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
It's going to be both.
Hey, maybe hit Andrews on a go route. That can get you like 30, 40 yards on one big play. You know, just send them, and then without the safety help, you know, who knows?
Maybe get a touchdown. Let's see. I'm trying to see Ryan Suckup 1.5 field goals made. I would probably take the over there. I highly doubt Tom Brady's only going to score 3 points again. Tom Brady in his career has never lost more than 2 games in a row, and he's never been more than 1 game out from under 500. So I highly doubt that they're going to look that bad. So those are a couple plays that we could pick. Travis Etienne for the week, 18.5 receiving yards. He didn't have many receiving yards last week, but I think this week he's going to be able to catch the ball. because playing Denver's got a good run defense, but he's going to have an opportunity at some checkdowns. So
He's
those
the
are
only
the
he's the only running back in town now, and he's gonna get that volume now. So that'll be nice. Nice to see finally.
Yeah, so those are our value plays for this week. Let's see. Buki says I have D Hopkins in my lineup, and he gets me a good bit. Yeah, if you drafted Hopkins and you sat him on your bench and you waited for him, he paid off for you. Because I guess you could have put him in IR. So if you drafted and put him in IR and picked up another player, that was a good move. I know people that picked him up week 1, so smart move on you, Buki. All right, going into fourth down. Last segment, we're going to go over our survivor picks. We're going to go over some rapid pick'ems and then any other discussion. So put them in the comments if there's something else you want us to guys to talk about, and we'll tackle it. So go ahead, Greg. You can go first with your survivor pick.
Best team in the NFC, the Philadelphia. No, I think the Eagles are going to win this game pretty easily. They're playing against the Steelers. Kenny Pickett has not been good. Eagles fans are going to be in full force. They should probably win this game by 15 to 20 points. I don't see an issue with it at all. Pretty safe.
All right. Well, my pick, I'm also going with an NFC East team, and I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. They're playing the Bears, but they're at home. The Bears aren't a terrible team, especially the way they played the Patriots, but I think the boys got it. Throwback to Julius Jones. This was years ago. This is one of my first jerseys way back in the day. So Julius Jones, I got the boys. Chris is going to take the Colts, I guess.
Ooh.
He didn't tell me, so I'm just picking for him. And then Cody also didn't say, so he got – no, you know what? Chris is going to take Denver, and then Cody's going to take the Packers. They don't have a choice. I've decided.
Oh, I like it.
All right, we're going to get into some rapid-fire pick'ems here. We're just going to make them really, really quick, but I want to change my name, so. All right. Rapid-fire pick'ems. No, my phone's not working. So everybody that's watching at home, if you're still watching, thank you for tuning in. I know the two of us, this is the first time we've done a two-person show, so it's been a little different trying to feed back and forth this way. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourselves. We're going to get into our last segment, and it's our just rapid fire. So, Greg, you're up first. Ravens at Bucks.
Give me the Bucks at home. I think Brady will do enough to get it done. Ravens can't close out games. Brady can.
I got Broncos at Jags. This is in London. Russell Wilson was doing high knees and exercises for 4 hours on the plane. He's going to be tired. Give me the Jags. All right, you got Panthers at Falcons.
Falcons. Panthers, they showed promise last week, but the Falcons being at home, I think they're the slightly better team. They should get the W.
Got Bears at Boys. I'm taking the Boys. You got Dolphins at Lions.
Ooh, you know what? Give me the Lions. I think they're going to come out. They're going to try to get a lot of pressure with Hutchinson on Tua Tagovailoa, make them uncomfortable, make them have a few unforced errors. Jared Goff, I think, gets 2 touchdown passes in this game. Look out. Lions win 20-17.
Mr.
I hyped that up for no reason. I don't know why.
4-0 Tua is going to lose to the Lions. Okay, fair enough. I got Cardinals at Vikings. The Vikings are a sneaky 5-1 team. Like when I think of teams that have a good record, I don't think of the Vikings. They're 5-1. Give me the Vikings to keep winning. Raiders at Saints.
Fuck the Raiders. Go Saints.
Okay. Buki, I see your picture. I'm going to look it up here, and we'll bring it up in a minute. Patriots at Jets. Give me the Jets. I love Sauce Gardner, and I think the Pats' quarterback woes are going to be a problem. Battle for Pennsylvania. Steelers at Eagles.
I just said that earlier. Eagles, they win this game easily.
Yep. We got Titans at Texans. I hate this fucking game. This is a trap game for the Titans every year. The only reason Davis Mills is the quarterback is because of the 2 games he played against the Titans last year. Fuck. I'm going to take the Titans, but I would not be surprised if the Texans win. You got Commanders at Colts.
I was going to say the Titans are 2.5 road point favorites, meaning the Texans get the 3 points, so I guess that would technically mean they're not too far behind.
Yeah.
Who'd you say? What was the teams? Colts and
Commanders and
Commanders or
Colts.
something? Oh, yo, give me the Colts at home. Sam's gonna come in. He's gonna be dealing. Hook 'em horns. Go Colts.
Go Colts. We got 49ers at Rams. I'm taking the Niners. Last time these guys played, I said it's because the Niners seem to have their number, and I think the 49ers are a good squad. Giants at Seahawks.
Oh, I can't pick against the Giants. I just hyped them up so much earlier, winning the close games. Tell you what, this game stays within 8 points. Giants win the game. If not, they lose.
If it stays within 8 points. Okay. We got Packers at Bills. I already said Bills are going to spank them. And Monday night game, Greg, Bengals at Browns.
Bengals have looked really hot lately. Joey Burrow is finally stepping up his game. They're giving him a little bit more protection. Receivers are still all great. The Browns are kind of reeling right now. They're talking about trading Hunt. They don't have it. It's a divisional game, so it's going to be close. My guess within like 7 or 8 points, but I think the Bengals get the win. They win. We're gonna go 27-21 over the Browns.
All right, nice. So Buki said Patty sent me a picture that he wants us to talk about. All right. So unfortunately, I'm not able to bring that picture up because it's not on my computer. But so it is a picture of the teams with the highest red zone scoring percentage. The Titans and Cowboys scored 100% of the time they're in the red zone this season. The Raiders scored 95.5% of the time. Panthers have scored 92.9% of the time. They just never fucking get there. The Ravens scored 91.7%, and the Seahawks Falcons scored 90.9%. So that is just red zone scoring. That's just efficiency. If you look at touchdowns, the Titans before last week blew everybody out of the water. The Titans were like 93% touchdown efficiencies compared to the Chiefs, who were like 75, were the next closest. So that's just a fun fact and statistics. I'm surprised the Chiefs aren't in the 90 range, but I guess they might have had a couple turnovers or something in the red zone that's taken
Let's
out.
talk about our field goal kicker or multiple field goal kickers. I think that accounted for at least like 2 or 3 or 4 misses inside the red zone. I think that was part of it. I think there were a couple interceptions in there as well from Mahomes, so that's probably why the numbers are like that.
I gotcha. Well, Buki, thanks for the photo. Thanks for the pick. Everybody at home, thanks for watching. Nice and quick today compared to everything else. So put in the comments if you liked it. Last week we weren't here because we did a live stream with the game. So if you guys tuned in for that and you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a comment on that so we can do it again. If you haven't yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button and follow us on Twitter. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.